This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello and welcome to We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton, and today I'm delighted to have the Supportive Outreach Service team here with me, or commonly known as SOS. We want to thank you for joining us today. Our participants are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. The SOS team meet these people where they are, and we're going to chat about where are they as we move forward with this conversation. Some of the participants are unhoused and some are at risk of not having a roof over their heads. I want to thank all of the support agencies and services, including SOS for sure, who work hard every day to meet the needs of these people who are marginalized and most vulnerable and at risk in our community. They also have helped in the development of this program, and for that I am truly grateful. So thank you so much. I'm going to introduce you to Heather, and Heather will introduce the rest of the SOS team because Heather has the microphone. So she's going to take it from here. Away you go.
To my left is Sandra. She's our social navigator with United Way. We have Mackenzie, our mental health counselor from CMHA, and Teresa, our paramedic from Grey County.
And I should have said, Heather is the nurse practitioner who's involved with the SOS team. So today we're taping this segment outside, and we're actually at the Queen's Park bench shell. And the reason we chose this is because SOS doesn't just go to buildings to see people, although they will. They also have a street outreach program where they actually go to the places that people gather. So would this be a place that you would actually see clients?
Absolutely. So when some of our other agencies close, let's just Safe and Sound, when it's closed late in the afternoon after 3, a lot of individuals would find a place like this where there is some shelter from the midday sun on a hot summer day like today. Obviously it's been raining today, so this would be another reason why folks might seek out shelter like this. Across the street we have the library, a warming and cooling center as well, which has access to public washrooms during the day as well as fresh water.
So from your perspective as a team, you mentioned about the heating and cooling. What happens to people if they don't have access to heating and cooling? For example, we are located where there are public buildings, but they close down. And what happens, and what do you see as a team, people who may be on medication, what happens to them when the weather's really, really hot, as it's getting that way these days, or obviously in the winter for them to stay warm? What sorts of concerns do you have from a healthcare perspective?
So from like a medical perspective, burns are really common. Unfortunately, individuals who might fall asleep during the day because they've been moved along all night long. They may fall asleep in the sunshine, or it's shade when they start and it's hot sun when they awake. Burns are a concern, bug bites are a concern also. Some individuals who may have mental health conditions and medications that reduce your ability to sense temperature or to cool oneself off are certainly subject to overheating, dehydration. Other individuals, similarly, say with diabetes and don't feel their toes, certainly are higher subject to things like frostbite in the wintertime. Some individuals who have mobility issues can't mobilize themselves to some of our heating and cooling centers, and that's a barrier. Some folks drink from the river behind us without filtration. We discourage that, obviously, and that's a whole host of issues related to parasites and bacteria.
So, for example, if all of the buildings are closed and there's no public fountain, where else could they except for the river? Like, you have to be...
Yeah, it's a very real challenge, right? And sometimes people will steal, break into outbuildings. Sometimes folks will try to access taps from gas stations or department stores. People are creative to try to stay alive in this situation.
One of the things that I've heard is that those who are unhoused or precariously housed or living rough, for them to survive, they have to learn skills and strategies that a lot of people wouldn't even think of. Have you been surprised at some of the things that you've seen either in, I'll call them a tent home, or, you know, I don't know what the proper term is, but have you been surprised at what people will demonstrate as how they manage to live in these, obviously in weather or different situations? What have you seen?
I'm called to think about, and I think your firefighter experience might be useful, the heating and cooking device that we saw at the one encampment. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, using their ingenuity and their skills from their previous life experiences comes in pretty handy. They can put together some pretty amazing utilities of their own with the things that they can gather by any means necessary, and it is for them to be able to survive. So yeah, I would say that they are very creative and excellent at getting what they need to make it work.
Yeah.
And I guess a negative aspect to that. So the example I'm thinking of was a really quite brilliant cooking and heating device that was crafted. That encampment has since burned down. I mean, it was not safe. It certainly did not meet any guidelines.
Yeah.
But it helped shelter 2 to 3 individuals over the winter last year. Really difficult, desperate times. And now that shelter is gone and they're unhoused.
Now, there are, and I'm not sure who could answer this, but my understanding is based on some mental conditions or life's experiences, there are some people who really can't tolerate being roofed in or being in a shelter because they feel unsafe. What options do they have? And would you say that that's what I've heard is true of some of your clients, that they feel uncomfortable in an environment where there may be others or having a roof over that they can't get out from?
Would you like to take this one?
I think that a lot of it comes down to, you know, if they've had previous trauma, that trauma could stop them from wanting to be in a home.
Yeah.
We have a few that don't feel that they deserve a home.
Really?
We do.
Wow.
Which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, due to their own upbringing, that's where they've ended up.
Yeah.
We have some who simply don't have the skills, and for them, being unhoused is better in their eyes than being housed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Part of what we do as well is give them some of those life skills, which, you know, we're really looking forward to something like 14th Street where we'll be able to go in and actually give them some of those skills.
Yeah.
But definitely that can be a barrier. Living in shelters, doesn't matter what area you go to, when you're sleeping beside somebody, you may not be more than a few feet. Yeah. So having your own space is really important, and that can be really difficult for some people that are used to having a big bubble.
Yes, yes. So individuals may come to this band shell, and you would see them, you would come and chat to them, offer them services without identifying the specific locations, because we want to protect their privacy and safety. What other places would you, as a team, think to go where you might find individuals who could use your help?
Sure. This time of year, people often will seek shelter beneath a tree line where it's cooler, where they're protected from sun and wind and rain, potentially.
Yeah.
Not every person can get a tent or has a tent or needs one, but often, you know, tarps and ropes, things where they can actually create a shelter for themselves for safety. Often they're located close to services, close to where they can access water, their pharmacy, and other agencies, a walking distance from those types of services that they may already be accessing. Typically, people would avoid private property. That just makes sense.
Yeah.
So that then leaves, city property.
Yeah.
But then they're within the confines of potentially complaints and bylaw.
Yeah, which restricts for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned about being able to walk to the services. So in a downtown area, you might expect, just on the periphery, more people might choose to make a home for themselves there.
Yep.
So before we sign off, warming and cooling centers, accessible more? Do we need more? And does it save lives?
I think we have lots.
We have a few.
Yep.
The Julie MacArthur, the library. I believe there is a listing of all of them on 211.
Yeah.
But I think that like the need for a shelter, because it's really the overnight hours that people run into those.
That would be the next. That would be one of your wishes then, would it? For sure.
24-hour washrooms.
Say more about that. Pass that mic over. Okay.
24-hour washrooms. It's not something that we really have access to here. If folks are going into a business after hours, they're not necessarily welcome there to do anything unless they're purchasing something, which they may not have funds to do. So everybody has that basic need of using the washroom, and if you can't access it 24 hours a day, you're going to have to find a different way to meet that need.
Yeah.
Which is a problem.
And that as well is about human right and dignity. And that's, And certainly being able to have that available would be a wish as well.
Yeah, so there is one, it's at the police station, that it's not very helpful for folks on the west end of town or on the far east side of town. It's great for folks who feel safe to enter that building and who are in the downtown core when there's not an emergency.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I want to thank all of you. I've taken your time. I know you have people to see, but I thank you so much for sharing your information, and most especially for what you are doing to help our most vulnerable and marginalized people. They are part of our community, and they deserve the care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Please join us again for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences, to learn more about those who need our help and who are part of our community. Take care and stay safe.
I don't care what the law is. I will never be a slave. That word, I hate it. It rests on my tongue like rot.
Peter, how does it feel to get paid for your work?
There are rumors freedom's coming for us all.
Freedom, you know that's all I want.
Chloe, careful. Real men would rather sell you across the river to America than let you go free.
Then I'll run.
I've run before. Maybe this time for good.
No! Just get her into a boat. No!
Chloe! Chloe, no!
Word of Chloe Cooley's resistance led to Canada's first legislation limiting slavery. After 200 years, slavery was abolished in Canada in 1834.
Hello and welcome to We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. My name is Carol Merton. Our participants are sharing their stories to increase awareness and understanding about the challenges of everyday living and survival. Some are unhoused or at risk of not having a roof over their heads. I thank those support service agencies who work hard every day to meet people's needs and who have helped in the development of this program. Today we are taping on location at Safe and Sound in Owen Sound, and we're actually in the laundry room, so you'll see clothing beside us and behind us, and washer and dryers on the other side, but they haven't made me do any laundry yet. Maybe in the future. Also, I wanted to thank Gary, because Gary has agreed to join us for this interview to share his experiences and to answer some of the questions. So thank you very much, Gary. Appreciate it. And feel free to keep drinking your coffee, eat your muffin. I promise I won't.
I'm not rude. I don't have to be
if
that
you
way.
need to wet your whistle or get some food into you, please do so.
Okay, thank you.
I'll wait till you have a slurp. Great. How long have you lived in Owen Sound, Gary?
About 45 years.
So you are practically born and raised in Owen Sound?
No, Port Elgin, actually.
Port Elgin was your original home, and then you came to Owen Sound.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Owen
Well, it's
Sound?
work for one thing. Right?
Okay.
So, and then I found work right away. And
Yeah.
I stayed in Owen Sound and worked probably for about 30 years in total.
Yeah.
And I went out west a couple of times, and I worked out there. And
What sort of work did you do?
well, anywhere from being a cook to working with lumberjacks and
Wow.
with wood and things like that.
Yeah. So variety of things.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. So would you consider yourself homeless?
No.
You have a roof over your head?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Good. Good. Has it always been that way for you?
No.
All right. So you've had some experiences without a roof.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you about some of those times, and then, of course, what it feels like now when you certainly have a roof. When you didn't have a roof over your head, was there a place you spent most of your time around Owen Sound? Where would you find a place to stay to sleep?
Well, in the wintertime, it would be the bank.
Really?
The bank lobby, yeah.
Really? So you'd go into the bank to try and just find a place to stay and stay warm?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then during the day, where would you get your food? Where would you go?
Well, Owen Sound, there's a few places to get food. O'Share is one of them, right
Yes,
there. Once
yes.
you see O'Share, really looks after everything right there.
Yeah, yeah.
Food-wise, anyways. So.
Yeah, yeah. So you would just search out those agencies that would provide food, and you'd just pick a place like the bank to be able to have a place to stay warm.
Yeah.
What about the nicer weather? You mentioned about the winter when you were without a house.
Well, I'm not in the nicer weather. I still look for a shelter to sleep in. So
Yep.
I would still be in a bank lobby or something like that.
I want to talk about health and well-being, because we hear sometimes it's hard when you don't have a roof over your head or to take care of your health. So how would you describe what it was like trying to take care of your health, either then or now?
It was a struggle for me, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
What was the hardest part for you?
I struggled from drug addiction, so that was the hardest part for me. So I, on top of being homeless. So,
Yeah. So you had more than one thing to...
Yeah, I had other things to worry about, and things, So.
Yeah. So
but my worker was really good with me, and she helped me along the way a lot.
So you had someone who was supporting you.
Yeah, I consider her pretty good, and a lot of people aren't that lucky, right?
Yeah.
So she cared enough about me to look at, to help me out. Just giving me good advice and things like that.
Yes, yes. So what would you say are the most important things that you need to survive every day?
Food.
Food, yeah.
And relationships, a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you find yourself lonely from time to time?
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So some people will come here to Safe and Sound.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I came here.
Here?
Yeah.
And any other places you would go just to be around people?
Yeah.
So you...
A few places, but not so good people.
Oh,
And some are good. Some are good and some aren't.
So you learned where to go where there were good people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So did you ever have to stay in a motel program?
Yeah, I did that. I did that about 4 times.
How did that work out for you?
It worked out okay.
Yeah? You found you were able to get a roof over your head and able to sort of
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah, and that made a difference for you.
For me, it did, yeah.
Yeah. Some people say no when they're offered a room. Any reason why they might say no?
I don't know whether they haven't spent too long being homeless, because anybody would like a half-decent bed to lay in.
Yes.
And a meal in their gut, so I don't know why anybody would turn that down.
Yeah. In other words, when you're homeless, you're grateful for the basics of a meal.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah, yeah. So you have spent the night outside.
Yeah, in the wintertime and everything, yeah.
Yeah. How did you find a really good place to sleep when you had to be outside, other than the bank,
Well, there aren't any,
So there is no good place.
If you find one, you're lucky.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
But basically nothing replaces a roof over your head.
no, nothing replaces that.
Right. So currently you hang out with family and friends here at Safe and Sound.
Yeah.
Now you're from Port Elgin. Do you ever see anybody from Port Elgin?
No,
now?
I haven't seen some of them have passed on.
Yes.
So that's why that's like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody, no.
No. So really, the people you see here in Safe and Sound are your community now?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, definitely after 40-some years.
I would
yeah.
say. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Do you think that being homeless is different for men than women?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Because women have to end up doing things that they don't want to do, and it's ugly. And it's not right.
Yeah.
And the pressures that they go through just to survive.
Yeah.
And through addictions, through everything, right?
Yeah.
And,
So
yeah.
certainly that makes it more challenging for women.
Yeah, and then
Yeah. So what do you think the rest of the community does not understand about being homeless? From your experiences, what do you want people to understand about what it's like to be homeless?
Well, I'm not really going to say anything about that, but except for do whatever you can not to be homeless.
Yes.
And experience it.
Yeah.
Because it's something you're never going to forget.
Yeah. It's forever in your mind afterwards when you've had that experience. So best to avoid
A lot
it.
of bad things, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll let you have another sip, and then I have a question about 3 wishes. If you had 3 wishes for you or for anyone who's in a homeless situation, so for yourself or the community, or what would they be? What would you wish for?
Oh, I think I wish that I could see my kids more often,
Yeah.
for one thing, and I wish the best for everybody,
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just hope that they don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to make me snap out of it, make me understand that there's another way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which I was told lots of times, but never listened, or I didn't want to at the time. So.
Yeah. And then when you had a worker who helped you, that
Yeah,
made all the
it
difference.
made all the difference for me, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you consider yourself fortunate to have had
Yeah.
that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So a wish would be for someone to also have that opportunity to have somebody
Yeah.
help them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is there anything that I haven't asked you yet that you'd like to share for me to know about you or your
I
experience?
can't really think of anything else, man.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I've touched almost every ground there. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Being homeless, or even, having a roof, but maybe not all of the things that would make life comfortable. Do you find that that's just hard work every day to be able to cope?
Well, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
And some people can't cope, and some people can, and
Yeah.
some people cope just enough to get by.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
And that'd be me. So
Yeah. And that's tiring. Working
it's
at.
exhausting, yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally, it's exhausting.
Yeah. So not only
As
are
well
you
as physical. Yeah.
as physical, yeah. Not only are you working hard just to every day survive,
Yeah.
but then coping with the exhaustion of that,
Yeah, it's up to that, yeah.
which makes it challenging as well.
Sure.
From your perspective, do you believe that now we're heading into winter?
Yeah.
Hopefully not too soon. I have to tell you,
Yeah.
I'm not a winter lover.
Not ready for that neither.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's enough services available, or do people need more services as we head into the colder, wintry kind of weather?
I would think that the Old Town needs a hostel of some sort to give people beds.
To give people, like a shelter,
the
do you
food's
mean?
here, right? So,
Yeah, the food. Yeah.
There's people, last year, 2 people froze to death.
I heard
So,
that happened.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Are these people that you might have known or seen?
No, I didn't know them, but I know
You
people
know they
that
passed.
know them, right? So,
Yeah. So they passed. I mean, that's hard to hear,
So,
that people would.
yeah, and it'll get worse if something isn't done for the housing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think there's more people at risk now than even a few years ago?
Yeah.
That you're seeing more?
The rate is higher, yeah.
Yeah. So there's even more need than
Yeah.
before. Yeah. So a hostel to allow people even just a bed to sleep in is what you're meaning?
But some are mentally handicapped and challenged, and sometimes they need to go to the hostel because they're not even functioning on a level like us or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We know it's better, but I mean, it's not their fault. That's the way it is. But you have to, Canada has to look after those people.
Exactly.
Mentally ill people. Tons of them out there.
Yeah.
That are looking after themselves. Not very good.
They're part of our community too.
That's right.
Yeah. And they need care.
It could be your father, it could be your mother, you know?
Yeah.
Your sister or brother.
And we just never know, right?
That's right, until it just hits you like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this has been very, very informative, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak to me. I think you sharing your experience, my goal is by people sharing their experience, more people will be aware of the need to help for our community.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to our viewing audience as well for joining us for We All Belong, Voices of Lived Experiences. And just hang on for a minute because I will unhook you. You know, the producer will chase after you to get that microphone back.
I forgot I had it. I forgot
He does that to me too. Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Take care, everyone.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Game TV's Watch and Win contest is back with over $75,000 in cash prizes. Tune in to Jeopardy weeknights at 8:30. Spot the code word, then head over to GameTVContests.com to enter. With a new code word every weeknight, that's 35 chances to enter. Don't just watch the winners, be a winner with Game TV's Watch and Win contest. Contest runs October 16th to December 1st. Visit GameTVContests.com for more info.